Your girl has officially entered her audiobook era. What can I say? We're a part of the club. Hello my beautiful people and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you guys are new here, my name is Gianna, Lian, and today I have another book recommendations video for you guys. Just sit down, cozy vibes, giving you guys some amazing book recs that I think you guys should most definitely pick up and read, but this time we are diving into audiobooks, okay? Your girl is entering her audiobook era. I've already listened to so many amazing audiobooks this year, and I definitely have some others over the last year under my belt that I want to give you guys as recommendations as well. I mentioned in one of my recent videos that I don't talk to you guys about audiobooks enough. I kind of forget about them at the time, but like I said, there are so many that I just love with my whole entire heart and I feel like everyone needs to listen to. And if you have some of these books on your TBR, I'm gonna tell you if they are better to listen to as audiobooks rather than reading them physically or on your Kindle, because I've almost made that mistake, and oh my goodness, when I tell you the book was 10 times better because I listened to it as an audiobook instead of reading it, oh, your mind is going to be blown, okay? So I have compiled a little list of some of my top audiobooks that I would recommend you guys read. Take my word for these. They are amazing and you're just not gonna regret it. So before we get into it, make sure you like this video and subscribe to join the family. I do have a mini giveaway planned once we hit 23,000 subscribers. I did make a little community tab post asking if you guys would maybe want a little mini giveaway, and I feel like I haven't done one in a while. Once we hit 23,000 beautiful people, I will be launching a little mini giveaway to give back to you guys. So make sure you join our family. But the first audiobook recommendation I want to give you guys is You with the Sad Eyes by Christina Applegate. Now this is her memoir. It did recently just release and I did recently just finish it. And even though I don't like to rate memoirs because obviously I don't want to slap a rating on someone's life story, this was a 5 out of 5 star read. And honestly, I was shocked reading Christina Applegate's story. I just was not expecting for her to have the life that she had. And especially when you're reading a memoir about a celebrity or someone that you know kind of in the online or film world, you just don't expect to hear all these terrible and traumatic things happen to them, because from our perspective it's like, wow, they live a glamorous life, they're famous, this and that, but it's so much more than that. So I would highly recommend you give this memoir a try. Even if you're not really into memoirs, this one just kept you hooked. And also Christina Applegate does tell you her story herself. You're not listening to like a random narrator, you actually get to listen to her story from her own words. It is just so magical, and it honestly just made me respect her so much more because she was so raw and kind of like no fucks given in a way. And I already knew that from her before, but her memoir kind of took that to the next level. It was just a beautiful story overall. So highly recommend that memoir. Even if you're not really a memoir girly, give this one a try. Next is Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. I'm currently reading this right now, you guys, and I don't even know what to think. I am so hooked to this freaking audiobook, you guys. I had a little mini road trip that I had to go on yesterday, and when I tell you there was no music to be played in my car because I was just binging this audiobook, it is wild. It's one of those audiobooks that the main character is confused the whole entire book, or at least so far. So that leaves me being so confused, and it's kind of like the main character and I are figuring out this crazy plot of a book at the same time. And I honestly don't think an audiobook has hooked me this much ever in my entire life. Now this book is pretty popular, but a lot of people were saying to listen to the audiobook rather than read it physically. One, so then you're not as confused because it is a really confusing plot, but two, because it just brings the book a little bit more to life and adds that extra suspense when you can actually hear the narrator speaking the words rather than you putting a tone yourself over the book if you were to read it physically. But I don't even want to go into explaining the plot of this because I think you most definitely have to go into it blind. That's what I did, and it's making me enjoy it so much more because I know nothing about what the book is actually about. But you can definitely take my word for it and just jump into it because you are going to be confused, but in the best way possible. It's not like a, oh, I'm confused, I'm not liking this is really just what's the point. No, that is not one of these, I promise. I could see myself rating this a 5 stars for sure. Next, kind of on the sappier side, Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. Now this is my first Kennedy Ryan book. I've wanted to dive into her books for a while now, and this is the first one that I did. It is a part of a series. I don't know if I'm going to continue the series right away, but I definitely see myself maybe continuing it in the future. This one was interesting because you're kind of following the family dynamics of a toxic relationship and just two people that are madly in love, but they kind of need constant reminders on why they keep coming back to each other. And with them having kids together, that obviously binds them a little bit more. And you basically just go through the lives of raising their children together and trying to resist the urge to come back to each other. But it is a beautiful story. It's very back and forth, very toxic, and a little bit spicy. I don't know how I feel about listening to spice over audiobooks. Sometimes I feel like that can get really icky, but but in this one, it wasn't that bad, and I kind of did enjoy it to the extent of like I wasn't uncomfortable, if that makes sense. So if you're looking for a heartfelt coming of age type of romance where two characters are growing together constantly and there's a very beautiful end to it, then I would highly recommend you pick up this one. I know this series as a whole is kind of really popular in the book community, but listening to it as an audiobook definitely brought up my rating for it. I think if I read this book physically, I wouldn't have enjoyed it as much because the audiobook just brings that extra feeling and emotion towards such an emotional romance novel, if that makes sense. I've talked about this book a lot, but there is a reason because I'm absolutely obsessed with it. We have The Correspondent by Virginia Evans. Sarah Carole put me on this book, you guys. She did read it physically and listen to the audiobook, so I was going back and forth in my head of what I wanted to do, but I ended up listening to the audiobook, and wow, was I not disappointed. This book is not only heartbreakingly beautifully sad, but it's also unique in the way that the whole book is told by letters from our main character Sylvia, which is an old little woman that absolutely loves writing letters. She will write a letter to an author after she finishes one of her favorite books, or even if she didn't like the book, she'll still write the author a letter telling them that she didn't like the book. She'll write letters to all her friends and family. She'll write letters for any and every absolute reason that you give her, basically. But I definitely got reminded the importance of writing letters, and obviously that's not a common thing anymore because the internet is such a big thing and everyone can simply just send a text or have a phone call and stuff like that. But having an actual physical piece of writing from a loved one or a friend that you can forever always just have, and it's not going to get lost in like a bunch of text messages or a bunch of emails and stuff like that, it is just so beautiful. And I actually, after finishing reading this book, I wrote a letter to my granny because we've always written letters together back and forth, but I definitely did not do it and have not been doing it as much as I should. And this book was just kind of that reminder for me. So I definitely took away so much from the book, and obviously it is overall just a beautiful story in general. Even if it doesn't inspire you to write letters, you're still gonna get a beautiful read out of it, and I couldn't recommend a book more. This was so close to a 5-star. This one is kind of random, but Buy Yourself the Damn Flowers by Tam Carr, I believe is this author's name. This was a feel-good type of audiobook. I would say it's more so on the self-love side, but it's not like a, oh, I'm gonna fix your self-love issues and you're gonna magically love yourself after you listen to this audiobook. It's more so just constant little gentle reminders of little ways to show yourself self-love constantly every single day, and I feel like we forget those little reminders a lot. So when I listened to this, I was like, oh, I need to start doing that more. Oh, I forgot about this. Or, oh, these are some really amazing words of affirmation that I can add into my routine to start my day or make my day better or make myself feel better, especially in like anxious and doubtful times. It's just a feel-good type of audiobook that will give you those exercises to love yourself a little bit more. I feel like we're always so hard on ourselves and we need that reminder to just love ourselves. This is super short, super quick, and the author has an amazing sense of humor, so you're gonna get a few giggles out of these amazing little gentle reminders. This is the last time I'm gonna mention this book to you guys, I promise, but you need to listen to The Favorites by Lane Fargo. Oh my goodness, you have to. Please, if you take anything away from this video, please listen to The Favorites by Lane Fargo, okay? You're following two figure skaters falling madly in love and just going along with them through the journey of competing in the Olympics and the high stakes of that, and then obviously the toxic friendships and the backstabbing and all the drama that goes on in the figure skating world. It is just absolute perfection. I did say that this was almost a 5-star read for me. I think I rated it a 4.75, but now that I've been talking about it so much with you guys recently, I think it has to be a 5-star. Like, I genuinely cannot stop thinking about this book, and I don't know what it was about me and the time when I finished it on why I didn't just give it a 5-star, but I'm giving it a 5-star now, okay? Rating has changed. Let's update the Goodreads. Thank you very much. If you have this book physically, please listen to the audiobook instead of reading it physically. It just brings the book so much more to life. You have added sound effects, you have so much mixed media, you have so many characters that you're following, and it just is like you're listening to a movie in your head. That is the best way to explain it. So even if you don't like figure skating, you're gonna fall in love with the book. I can promise you that. If you're looking for a more summary read, I would recommend you listen to The Rule Book by Sarah Adams. Now, this is the second book, a part of the little series or little duet that Sarah Adams has, and the first one is the cheat sheet. I didn't listen to that or read that yet, but it is definitely on my TBR for this year because I kind of jumped the gun and read the rule book instead. But this was super funny. The banter was absolutely everything, and I don't remember if there was any spice in this one, and if there is, there's like barely any, because like I said, when I'm listening to audiobooks, I don't really like to listen to spice, and that's why I tend to avoid romance books as a whole, because I just can't stand the spice in it. It just icks me out a little bit. But this one, again, was just super cute, and I thoroughly did actually enjoy enjoy Sarah Adams' writing more than I thought I was going to. And it's one of those romance books where it's kind of mindless, but still cutesy, but really funny. So you're getting the amazing banter, you're getting the funny little jokes, and obviously just amazing vibes. I felt like it was so summer for some reason. So I don't know, maybe just add it to your summer TBR. Road tripping to the beach, road tripping somewhere. I feel like this could be the perfect audiobook for a time like that. Jumping back into some self-help talk, you need to listen to Brianna West's books as audiobooks as a whole. Like, that author has amazing self-help books, probably my favorite self-help author I've ever read / listened to, but the one I want to recommend you specifically is The Mountain Is You. This is your guide to turning self-sabotage into self-mastery, I think it is. Look at me, I can't even remember my own little reference. Anyways, this one was life-changing, okay? I've never read a self-help book where I was like, okay, I feel like a brand new person. This book changed my life, but this is the one that has come the closest to doing that, in my opinion. I personally really struggle with self-sabotage, and with what I do with YouTube and social media as a whole, there's a lot of self-doubt that comes with it because you don't have your own boss, or you don't have this person in your ear, or the supervisor almost. You kind of make all your own decisions. You put a label on the quality of your work, and as a perfectionist, that is so hard sometimes. I definitely struggled with self-sabotage for a good 2 years before, well, one, I read this book, and two, just kind of really became aware of how I was sabotaging myself so much because I was just in this cloud of doubt 24/7. So this book definitely changed my life. We can say it changed my life because it was just that good. I took so many amazing things away from it, and Brianna West actually includes like real life examples of how she was self-sabotaging and how others self-sabotage, and it just became very relatable. And as I was listening to it, I was like, I do this, I do this, I do this. Wow, it sounds like she's actually telling me all the things that I do. And now she's giving me solutions to fix my problems. But it was amazing, and I couldn't recommend you listen or try out some of her books as a whole, like her as an author. This one's on the random side, but Veronica Ruiz Breaks the Bank by El Cazamano. Now, I only listened to this one as an audiobook instead of reading this series physically like I have been, because this is a little mini novella. And if you absolutely love the Finley Donovan series, but you don't want to buy the novella, I'm kind of iffy with that. I don't like buying novellas. They're just small little books that I feel like are kind of a waste of money, but I still want to read them. So I feel like picking up novellas as audiobooks is a perfect idea, and that's exactly what I did with this one. And it was just so funny because it actually brought Veronica Ruiz as a character in this whole series to life a little bit. It kind of gave her this clear picture in my mind of like, oh, she's actually like this, or this is exactly how I pictured her. It was just so fun. It was super short. I'm pretty sure in total it was like 4 hours, 3 hours, not even. And it definitely gave more context to the whole series. So if you're looking for some questions after the second book, pick up this little novella and listen to it as an audiobook so you don't have to buy it physically, because it just was an amazing time, and I definitely enjoyed it much more than I thought I was going to. So cozy mystery vibes, super funny, lots of dark humor, and it's kind of twisty. It was twistier than I thought it was gonna be. Now, we all know I love Frida McFadden as an author, you guys, but if you're looking for an audiobook, I would listen to The Crash by Frida McFadden. This was a wild ride, very twisty plot, and the end will have your jaw on the floor. It will have your jaw on the floor. Now, I think all of Frida McFadden's books honestly would sound so good as audiobooks, but I've only listened to a few as audiobooks, but this is one that you most definitely have to listen to rather than read, because it just adds that adrenaline to the actual mystery. You're following a main character that is pregnant, and she is driving in a snowstorm, and she actually ends up crashing her car, and she's kind of stranded in a way. But then there's this man that kind of picks her up and like saves her and brings her back to his cottage with his wife, where she's kind of hiding in shelter to wait out the storm and stuff like that. But then they end up kidnapping her, like unintentionally but intentionally, and it's just a crazy time. Listening to this as an audiobook just gives it that much more spookier effect, because you're in a snowstorm in like this stone dingy little cabin that is very spooky, and like personally I wouldn't want to be there. So take my word for it, listen to The Crash. Another memoir that I couldn't recommend to you guys more is The Woman in Me by Britney Spears. Now, if you were like me, I grew up listening to Britney Spears. She was definitely a staple in the car when I was driving with my mom. She was just always in my childhood. Like, my mom absolutely loved her, so I definitely was very familiar with Britney while I was growing up. But then I kind of stopped following along with her life until she obviously released her memoir, and let's just say her memoir gives you a lot of answers to a lot of questions. It was very eye-opening to know Britney's full story, because I feel like there's so many things online that you see, or there's so many gossip pages or magazines that just twist the plot so much, and hearing her story from her herself and really all of it rather than the chunks that you see on social media or the clickbait little posts and stuff like that, it is just very eye-opening, not only to Brittany and herself and what she has truly gone through, but it also shows you how much the media will do and how much it will destroy a person to get that article out. So I would highly recommend you listen to this one as well. It is one that you just don't want to miss out, especially because Brittany is such an icon, you know, like who doesn't want to know her full life story? Because it is a wild one. Sticking to the memoirs, I would also recommend you listen to Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton. Now, this is obviously a staple in the book community. Everyone loves this book, and I think it is most definitely one to listen to rather than read. I did try to read this one physically and I just couldn't get into it, but then I popped on the audiobook and I was like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. This is what I actually wanted. And I think it's just an amazing listen, especially because I am going through my 20s and the whole book spans from Dolly Alderton's 20s and her telling us all of her life stories, and it's kind of all over the place, but not in a bad way. It's just her telling you little tiny moments throughout her life or just overall experiences that she wanted to share through her 20s, so then she can give you that insight or just give you that funny story that she experienced while she was at that point in her life. I think a lot of people have mixed opinions on this because they couldn't really connect to Dolly Alderton, but if you share the same sense of humor as Dolly Alderton, I feel like that's where you'll really enjoy it. And I definitely took away a few very important messages, considering, like I said, I am going through my 20s, and she kind of gave me some insight of some of the things that I should expect or some things that I should look out for or things that I've experienced as well that we can both now giggle about because she went through it too. It was kind of like you were reading a diary of a best friend, if that makes sense. Another Freida McFadden audiobook recommendation is Never Lie by Freida McFadden. This one was also crazy, you guys. I kind of guessed the twist on this one, but not really. Like, I guessed the premise of the twist, but then there was another twist that turned into a bigger twist, if that makes sense. But this one was so good on audiobook specifically because you're following this big spooky house that our two main characters kind of come upon because they want to buy the house, but they again get locked into the house because of a snowstorm. So they're just in this random house that they want to buy, but as they're obviously trapped there, they're sneaking around, really looking at the house because what is there else to do? And they're slowly realizing that there's so much funny business going on in this house. Whoever the previous owner was or still is, just something's not right about them. So you get to follow the main characters just figure out slowly more and more what is actually going on in this house. And it's just very crazy. Again, because we do have that psychological thriller genre, I feel like listening to it as an audiobook just adds so much more suspense to it and really puts you in the picture with the characters that you're like, okay, so I'm actually scared now. I did feel a little scared while I was listening to this one, I can't lie. Another one that I'm gonna mention to you guys one last time and then I'm gonna shut up about it, I promise. It is Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Now, I've listened to a few of Taylor Jenkins Reid's books as audiobooks rather than reading them physically, and that is such an amazing thing I could recommend you guys do because not only are her books magical in absolutely everything and absolute perfection, but her audiobooks are the exact same way, okay? This one specifically, you're following so many different characters, you're following so much mixed media going on, and again, you do have that like Olympic world. So it's very similar to The Favorites in that way, that you're literally gonna be thrown into this whole universe and feel like you're actually a character, a part of this book. But what I really loved about this one is you had such a strong main character that there was so much growth throughout the book that it was just so magical to see someone reach their dream but also grow so much as a person while reaching their dream. It was kind of like an autobiography but in a fiction type of sense. I just felt like I knew this main character so much and her family, and oh, the surrounding characters were just as good as our main character that we were following. And like I said, because you do have that mixed media, you have so much sound effects and like broadcast live events. Like I remember the opening of the Olympics, there was like music and like actual like radio people saying welcome. It was freaking awesome. It was so awesome. I definitely want to do like a re-listen to this because I was just that obsessed with it, and I didn't even read it that long ago. I'm pretty sure this was the last book I finished before 2026 started. Definitely more so of a broad recommendation that I can give you guys, but I feel like any Holly Jackson book is amazing to listen to solely because they are easier to read, but it just adds that depth that you need to her books if you listen to them rather than read them, if that makes sense. I did listen to part of the reappearance of Rachel Price on audiobook. I was kind of going back and forth between the physical and the audiobook just to get myself into the book a little bit more, and I can definitely say that the audiobook was much more enjoyable than the actual physical book. It really just threw me into the mystery, and I felt like I was running around town like actually figuring out the clues with our main character to figure figure out obviously this big mystery, and it obviously is based around a smaller town, and I felt like I knew the small town. Like I felt like I visited this small town before, or like I could actually go to this small town like it was a real place. So that was very, very enjoyable. And obviously I don't know for sure, but I would assume / recommend you try other Holly Jackson books as audiobooks instead of reading them, because I personally know I'm gonna be picking up more of her books that way, and she's just one of those authors that I feel like can do both. And lastly, I saved this one for last because I just don't shut up about this book. I really don't. I don't know how at this point, but this is one of those books that it can literally do it all. Any form will be 10 out of 10 perfection, okay? And that book is, surprise, surprise, Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This has to be the best audiobook of all time, like ever made of all time. You need to take my word for it. Even if you don't like reading books set in the 70s or like a later time period, even if you don't like the rock band aesthetic, even if you don't like toxic band relationships, like you just need to trust me on this one, okay? Trust me, trust me, trust me. Listen to the audiobook, read the book, and then watch the TV show adaptation, okay? Because I am a firm believer that the book is always better than any adaptation that ever comes out. I'm a firm believer of that, and I've said that to you guys multiple millions of times. But this is the one exception that, yes, the book was still better, but the TV show was pretty close. It was pretty close. They just did an amazing job depicting the characters and bringing the book more to life. Anyways, I'm getting off track. Please listen to this audiobook. It is chef's kiss perfection. Daisy and Billy, like, oh, I definitely need to do a re-listen to this or just a reread of this in general, because I just have been thinking about these characters and this band a little extra lately. I'm missing them, and I feel like a piece of my heart is like breaking because I haven't heard of them in a while. So had to save the best for last, obviously. But those are officially all the audiobooks that I can think of that I absolutely love and want to recommend to you guys today. I'm so excited to pick up more audiobooks because, like I said, I'm definitely vibing them lately. They've just kind of been the vibe, and instead of listening to music when I go out or when I'm getting ready, I want to listen to audiobooks, and that is so amazing, and I'm so happy that I found this like new love for audiobooks. And you guys should definitely let me know if you guys love listening to audiobooks too. I know there's definitely some mixed opinions of like, oh, audiobooks don't count as reading. In my opinion, it does. Sorry, it does. Let me know if you guys are avid audiobook girlies, and if you guys can give me any more audiobook recommendations, because I go to TikTok for a lot of my audiobook recommendations, to be honest. Like I'll say like, oh, what are the best audiobooks to listen to right now? Like that's kind of the search I go for, but if you guys can personally recommend me some, I would definitely be down to give those a try. But like I said, I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you guys did, please make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube stuff you guys know how to do. Don't forget to check out my social media handles linked down below. They're always in the description box, and don't forget to check out my TikTok as well. We are back to posting regularly again on TikTok. There was definitely a little period of time where I just said, I don't really want to do TikTok right now, but we're back. I promise we're back. So definitely check out those daily little TikToks, more bookish content from me. But other than that, I hope you guys are having such an amazing, wonderful day. Go listen to an audiobook, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye. She'll write letters for any and absolute